Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.
Hello and welcome to the latest edition of NEWSWAVE, written, produced and recorded in the heart of Cornwall by the team here at Chaos Radio. I'm your host Tom Howe, and I'll be guiding you through some of the insightful guests and exciting news content that we've enjoyed across Chaos Radio this past week. On today's show, George Elworthy from Cornwall Hospice joins us to discuss the charity's new Fit for Future project, a long-term investment to ensure hospice care in Cornwall can continue meeting needs of patients and families for years to come. We check back in with local author Paula Rooney to get inside her latest travel book, inspired by a 5-week solo journey across Morocco and her passion for travel writing. We dive into this year's Big Butterfly Count with Sue Allen from the Cornish branch of Butterfly Conservation, who explains the importance of butterflies and reflects on changing populations in 2026. Jason and Gwen Bradby are back from Coeliac UK, discussing the growth of new local meetups in the St Austell area, with a second Cornish town soon to come on board and offer support for people living gluten-free. As well as that, we'll stop by our local Age UK St Austell Community Hub to meet two pillars of their team, Mandine King and Chris East, who detail their ongoing drive for donations and volunteers to support and expand their services. And finally, we check in with local man and friend of Chaos, Jacob Wilborn, who explains how a meditation group has grown from his living room into a thriving community that now meets weekly at the Quaker Meeting House in St Austell.
NEWSWAVE.
But first this week, Cornwall Hospice has recently launched its Fit for Future project, a long-term investment designed to ensure hospice care across Cornwall continues to meet the needs of patients and families for years to come. George Elworthy from Cornwall Hospice joined me to explain the works in more detail.
NEWSWAVE.
So Fit for the Future, actually, the whole concept of it started during COVID. COVID, came along as quite a shock to everyone. No one was quite sure what they were facing, and brought quite a change in terms of practice of how to care for patients. It exposed some of the older practices that you realised needed to adjust to the more modern age. The principles of what it was trying to achieve was bring greater privacy for the patients, so allowed more isolation for them. We had 2 old ward rooms that used to have 4 beds in, old ward style as you often see in hospitals. During COVID, they only ever used to use 2 at a time, and that practice remained. But I think there was growing awareness that people wanted greater privacy, particularly, towards the end of life. You might have family around you, and if there's somebody else in the same space as you, it sort of slightly took away from that. So we've converted 2 of those old wardrooms into individual bedrooms and updated them by making them en suite, so that they're completely self-contained. They've got their own showers, toilets, basins, a bigger space. We've also introduced a controlled heating and cooling system, vented, so that there's greater comfort. We also recognise that it would be really useful to have a separate entrance for the patients, which sounds a fairly simple task, but it meant us redesigning the whole entrance to the hospice, and we built this large, I describe it as cathedral-like canopy, taking it to where one of the old ward rooms was situated, and we now bring in the patients that way. They're taken straight onto the ward. The nurses greet them and take them to their rooms, so they don't come in the same door as the staff, as any visitors. It allows greater dignity. They're not paraded around the whole place. So that was another fairly fundamental principle of what we were trying to do with Fit for the Future. And equally significant was looking at the whole sustainability of the whole hospice. It's an old building. It's 45 years from when it was first built. All the heating system was predominantly gas. So we've put in some of this mechanical ventilation, which heats and cools, which is electric. We've got new solar panels, so we're generating our own electricity, reducing the carbon footprint. New triple glazed windows and huge amounts of insulation to keep the place cool and warm in the winter.
I suppose, without giving too much away and without breaching any confidentiality or confidences, is there any pieces of feedback or a particular story that you hold dear from a patient or a family that really captures why this matters, why this Fit for the Future project is making such a difference?
We had a slightly younger patient who was with us, wasn't terribly happy coming into the hospice. I don't think he really knew what he was coming into. And the nurses start talking and finding him. There was a bit of, why am I here? I shouldn't be here, blah, blah, blah. The nurses discovered I think it was end of January, February, that he'd had a really rough Christmas. So she asked, she came to us and said, can we put on a Christmas lunch? So, of course. So February, we did up our whole dining room, decorated it, put a Christmas tree into his room, and he had 16 members of his close family attend this particular Christmas lunch. The full works, all the food, and he actually described it as the best Christmas he'd ever had. He was, for his sins, he was a Manchester City supporter, and I believe they even got someone from the Manchester City team to call up and wish him happy Christmas. He did leave the hospice. He went home after several weeks here, and that was his wish. He wanted to go back home, and he was all hugs and kisses with all the nurses sort of by the time he left. So he'd been helped to go on this journey to understand that yes, it's a horrible time in his particular life, but actually there's still pleasure that can be done.
So my question to you is, you help so many people. How can our listeners support the hospice and find out more about the work that you do and things like Fit for the Future?
Oh, thank you. It's probably quite widely publicised across the whole country that hospices are really struggling and actually closing beds. But Cornwall's a little bit different, and we all know it's different in many, many senses. And there is the most extraordinary community here. We actually have one of the lowest fundings from the NHS in the whole country. And that has always been the way. That's not a criticism of the NHS. It's a reality of the situation. But as a consequence of that, there's been the hospice to provide the service has had to be more robust. And it's developed a very successful retail business, a successful lottery business. It has the most fantastic relationship with fundraisers across the whole county. There is always some event going on, be it a small green tea, be it a garden open specially, be it walks, talks, bike rides, climbs up mountains, whatever takes anyone's interest, but it is completely the goodwill of the people of Cornwall who actually keep this place funded and operative and allow those nurses and doctors to give the extraordinary care that they do. So we are every single pound that's raised, be it in a shop, be it some small fundraising task, helps pay for a nurse, helps pay for our electric bill, helps pay for the food. We're gifted so many things. We get free eggs from a local egg company. I don't suppose I'm allowed to mention them. We get free hams from another fantastic local supplier. We get free veg from some of the growers. All of these things go to help feed both the staff and the patients. And it's all this goodwill from companies that support us and the public. But you have to praise the public. Every single little bit of fundraising is just superb to keep us going. So we're so grateful to everyone.
NEWSWAVE.
Okay, local travel writer Paula Rooney has just released another book, all around Morocco, which follows her 5-week solo journey across the North African country. She joined Bryna Jordan to talk about how her unexpected passion for travel writing began, what readers can expect from her latest adventure, and why she believes it's never too late to see the world.
NEWSWAVE.
Well, my writing journey began back in 2020 when the pandemic hit us. It also coincided with me finding myself without my children. They'd all flown the nest, and I moved in with my partner, started a new chapter of my life, and then the pandemic was launched upon us. And then I decided that, like many people in that situation when you're the other side of parenting, you wonder what you're going to do with yourself. So I decided to go into railing. My children had gone into railing and I've been watching them planning it all, and I thought that's what I wanted to do back when I was their age, and I just never got round to it. And I thought, well, there's nothing stopping me now. I've got no responsibilities anymore. So off I went, and that wasn't intentional to write a book. I just journaled it because I wanted to capture it, really, so that I could read it back and refer back to it. So I journaled it. And to cut a very long story short, I published it. Then I went on to publish two more books, and then my latest book, my fourth one. So yeah, it all started quite accidentally.
What was the process like? How did you feel when you were booking that first trip?
Well, booking it is all very exciting, but when I sat on the train thinking I'm going to be away for about a month with just my belongings and a huge great bag that I could barely lift off the floor, I was a bit anxious. I think everybody who goes solo travelling is a bit anxious. But then you settle into it, and it was brilliant.
Did you find that obviously journaling your travels and that first travel, did it help you almost kind of process all those new emotions? You're in a new country and you're doing something you've not done before.
Absolutely. I didn't realise when I started out on my interrailing trip that I was going to process my life and that it was an important chapter. I spent a whole month on my own, and I just took stock of my life, which I don't think I would have done just at home. I think you have to sometimes just go away and get away from life. So yeah, the journaling turned into writing to my children, not knowing at this stage other people were going to read it.
And travel is obviously at the heart of your books. I guess we've almost touched on this, but what inspired you to turn your adventures into stories for someone else to enjoy?
Well, I really just journaled it. And they are just travel journals. So it's me travelling, everything that I do, everything that I eat, all the different places I go to, where I am. Like, I do travel around quite fast. When I was interrailing, I went to 10 different countries in a month. When I went to Andalusia for my third book, I did all the big sites, Cordoba, Seville, I went everywhere. So I record everything that I've done, all the highs, the lows, the buildings, it's just everything.
Yeah, it's a great way to remember those trips as well, I can assume, because obviously we have photos and we have videos, but books, it's that tangible thing that, especially if you're publishing this and it's out in the world, it's that tangible thing, and you'll never lose that.
No, exactly. I do enjoy reading them back myself because it's obviously my trip, but a lot of people say that when they read them they feel like they're travelling with me because I write them as I'm travelling.
Your latest book, All Around Morocco, what drew you to the country, and what can readers expect when they open the book?
Well, I wanted to go away at Christmas again because I work up at Will Martin and we shut over Christmas for 3 weeks. So I'm sort of at a bit of a loose end. So I just Googled warm places to go at Christmas. I'd already been to Andalusia a couple of Christmases before, or the Christmas before. So I wanted to somewhere warm, and up popped Morocco. And to be honest, I had to look on the map to see where it was. And then I went, oh yes, that's where Morocco is. I do know because I've been to southern Spain and I knew it was across the Straits of Gibraltar, but I'd forgotten. So it wasn't high on my list, but it sounded a really interesting place. And the more I spoke to people about it, I realised it was going to be a very interesting trip.
Was there any standout experience that you were there, that you were really excited that you were going to be able to share that with other people in the book?
The book's got a couple of things that I won't mention because I want you to read them and come across them and it will spoil it. But it says on the back of the book, I had to dig deep to navigate a couple of situations, but I won't do any spoilers. But I think that what I got from Morocco, because I spent 5 weeks there, I specifically called it all around Morocco because I started in Marrakesh and I went off to the desert. I went up to Fez, Meknes, up to Tangier and all the way down the coastal side. And I ended up back in Marrakesh and I just felt it's very intense, Morocco. The people are a bit intense. The culture's very noisy and loud and vibrant. And coming from Cornwall, especially in the wintertime, and then arriving in a chaotic, vibrant place like Marrakesh is a bit of a culture shock. The people frightened me because they just want your money. I didn't feel unsafe. It's definitely not an unsafe place to go, but you can feel a little bit anxious because they do want your money, but they want something in exchange for it. If you take a picture of anything that they own, their animals, snakes, they want you to pay for that, and they'll try and get you to walk up alleys, and if you get lost, which happens a lot in Marrakesh, they want to help you to get out of your situation, being lost, but they'll want some money for that. So it took a bit of getting used to that culture. One thing I remembered was when you get to these places, I went on a couple of bus trips and you end up at these touristy places and they try and sell you their bangles and bracelets. And the first time I was a bit like, oh, no, and trying to move away from them all. But after I'd been there, I went on another day trip after 4 weeks. And I just stood there and went, they're just people trying to earn a living. And it was my attitude to them. So I just sort of relaxed into it. Once they realise and you're just open to them and say, I don't want your bracelet, beautiful, but I don't want it. They just move on.
Yeah.
So it was trying to get my head around how I felt and how I actually was changed by being in Marrakesh and Morocco for so long.
Absolutely. I can assume we can see that kind of personal journey throughout the books as well and throughout the journals.
A lot of incidences where I'm interacting with them. Sometimes, like I say in the beginning, a little bit cautious. And then just chilling. They're just human beings. And they're very, very warm people.
Yeah.
Which I discovered on a few of the incidences I'm going to let you read about.
Oh, fantastic. What's your process like when you write these books? Is it, because you write them whilst you're away, is it kind of end of each day reflecting on what happened, or I don't know, something might happen, I need to write that down, need to put that in there?
I always have, when I travel, I try to travel really safely. So I have a big fat bum belt, one of those big waist belts on, and I have inside it pen and paper to hand all the time. I don't mind standing in the middle of the street writing something down. I've got past that embarrassment now. It's better to just capture it now because I might not remember it later. And then at the end of the day, I type it all up into my phone. I've been using Google Documents, or I used to email myself before I worked out Google Documents. So yeah, I record it all digitally. The first one I went on interrailing because I didn't know I was going to write so much. I just took a little notebook with me and ended up buying more notebooks, but that added to my weight. So now I do it digitally.
Brilliant. What would you say to someone of any age who wants to get out there and see the world, whether that be solo or with someone else or with friends?
Just do it if you want to do it. If you read any of my books, you realise that my partner laughs because if we go shopping, I come out of a shop and turn the wrong way. And my children are amazed that I've got myself all around Europe and all the way around Morocco and come home safely. You don't have to be experienced if you want to go somewhere. If you can get on a train from Truro and go to London, you can get on a train in Europe and go somewhere else. And getting on flights on your own is a little bit strange to start with, but you know the process. You've done it before, so you just do it on your own this time. Yeah. And it opens up a whole new world.
NEWSWAVE.
Right, you're listening to NEWSWAVE here on Chaos Radio with me, Tom Howe. Cornwall Butterfly Conservation is committed to helping butterflies, moths and caterpillars, bringing rare species back from the brink of extinction to protect the beautiful, diverse nature we find right here in Cornwall. But why are butterflies so important, and what exactly is the big butterfly count? To tell us more, Sue Allen from the Cornish branch of Butterfly Conservation joined Bryna to answer these questions and reflect on how butterfly populations are changing in 2026.
NEWSWAVE.
Butterfly Conservation have been running the big butterfly count for, I think, 17 years now. They run it at the same time each year with the same butterfly and day-flying moth species, because there are, I think there are 3 day-flying moths popped in there that people won't be familiar with. But basically, you can download the charts of the butterflies we're looking for, search for big butterfly count, and then you click on Butterfly Conservation's page, not someone else's page, but big butterfly count, Butterfly Conservation's page. It will tell you there that you can download a chart which shows the butterflies we're recording, and it also tells you about registering and about sending in your results. It's something that we have been doing, as I said, for quite a while, and it is quite important because butterflies are indicator species, and it's not that all we care about is butterflies, but they show the general health of the ecosystem. Some people sort of think, oh, well, I'm not that bothered about butterflies, or I hate moths, or I don't like caterpillars, but then they love birds. You know, little blue tits, baby blue tits eat hundreds of caterpillars every year. And so when we're losing species, we're losing the potential for other species to feed. They're part of the chain, you know, the food chain. So they're important and they're beautiful.
From last year's results, can you tell us whether there are any butterfly species that are doing particularly well, or are there any that are causing concern?
2025 looked quite good because we had sunny weather. And though I think an awful lot of people recorded butterflies, I still think in general, the numbers were not as good. Things are going downhill, basically. Things are going downhill with all sorts of creatures, and butterflies are some of those creatures. It's the specialist butterflies that tend to suffer most. So you've got your big sort of red admirals and peacocks and the big colourful ones that flap about and they love your buddleia. And they seem to be doing okay. And this year in particular, we've had a big influx of painted ladies. It's a painted lady year. They come in from abroad, they come here, they have a lovely time, and they're everywhere. I've been to Wales recently and they were there as well. And they like thistles. And if you're really lucky, you might even find caterpillars on thistles. It's, you know, it's not so easy to find caterpillars as it is to see butterflies. But anyway, painted ladies are having a good year. Some of our little specialist butterflies, I mean, butterflies are a bit fussy. Well, should I say caterpillars are fussy? You know, the hungry caterpillar story? Well, it's not true. They just are very, very fussy. They don't eat all that sort of nonsense. So certain butterflies will only eat certain plants. So a lot of the blues, like bird's foot trefoil, and that's the food that the caterpillars like. That's the larval food plant. There's a butterfly called marsh fritillary, which its caterpillars will only eat devil's bit scabious. It's not a terribly good survival strategy, needing a specific environment with a specific plant to feed your babies. The caterpillars are the eating machines. The butterflies look pretty. They mate, they lay eggs, and then they die, sadly. They nectar on your plants. So they have a little long tongue called a proboscis that it pokes in the flowers and sucks up a bit of nectar, but they don't really eat. So what they need is just a bit of nectar and a bit of sun. So, you know, I think what we worry about are specialist butterflies that require specialist habitats, and those are under threat, and specific plants.
Is there ways of making your garden more butterfly friendly?
All the wildlife charities are saying the same sort of thing. You need to have a garden that is preferably full of our native wildflowers, or if not our native wildflowers, at least things that are accessible to butterflies and bees. So you need the simple plants. Our native wildflowers are what they evolved to feed on, both the butterfly and the caterpillar. So if you can keep even a small corner of your garden for wildflowers, keeping some grass along, keeping an untidy area, keeping some of our lovely native wildflowers is all good. Please, if possible, don't use weed killer, insecticide, obviously, or anything like that, because it's very harmful for the environment, for insects, for us as well, really. But at night, artificial lights are really bad for our wildlife. They're having a really serious effect on moths and bats, and actually they're not good for humans. So all the artificial lighting we have in our gardens and all those really bright lights that come on, they're not good for nature.
I think one of the greatest things about the big butterfly count is that anyone can take part. How does a simple 15-minute count by members of the public help scientists and conservationists?
By collecting evidence and comparing it. If a few people go out and do it, they're not providing a lot of information, but it's the fact that you can do it anywhere in the British Isles. You'll get a different list of butterflies if you're in Scotland. It's slightly tailored to the butterflies they have up there. But I'm afraid there isn't a special one for Cornwall. So it's a comparison, it's looking at results year on year, and it's the same with a lot of the things we do. I don't do these things, but people do transects. So they repeat the route that has been sorted out to be a good route to monitor for butterflies, and it's repeated, and people record once a week the butterflies they see. And if you've had somebody doing a transect for 5 years or 10 years, or even I know somebody in Cornwall who's done one for over 20 years, that data is so important. And people who like crunching data can come up with statistics, which is a bit sort of like clinical when you're talking about butterflies, but it's a very useful way of measuring what's going on. And it's a way of us also being able to say things are going badly. I mean, it's lovely if they go well, and some things do go well. And sometimes we have brilliant successes. But the general trend is that we have got to be very aware of the sort of problems that are coming with changes of land use, farming practices, climate change. All these things affect our native wildlife.
How can people get involved? When is the count? When can people submit their findings? All of those juicy details, please.
The actual count is from the 17th of July to the 9th of August, but you can download all your gubbins now and practice. It tells you there how you can send in your what you've collected. You can do it more than once. You can do it in different places. But in actual fact, you can record butterflies at any time of year. So if you're out there practicing, you can still send those records in. Some people use an app. There's several apps as I Record Butterflies, and it's fairly simple to use. Even for me, I've managed to use that. Some people just send their records to our county recorder. So again, on our website, rather than on our head office's website, if you search for Cornwall Butterfly Conservation and press on Cornwall Butterfly Conservation's main website, you can have a look down there and you will find the details of our county recorder and how to send records. You'll also find details of our field trips, because we run field trips at this time of year and we take people out to nice places and show them butterflies as long as the sun's shining.
NEWSWAVE.
Now, living with celiac disease can be isolating, especially when it comes to eating out, finding safe foods, or simply connecting with others who understand. That's why a series of Coeliac UK local meetups launched right here in the St Austell area last year, offering relaxed, informal support for anyone living gluten-free. The monthly events have been such a massive success that they're being rolled out to a second Cornish town later this year. Joining me were organisers Jason and Gwen Bradby to tell us more about what to expect and why these gatherings matter so much to those that need them.
NEWSWAVE.
So celiac disease is an autoimmune disease, much like a sort of diabetes, and it's where the body actually attacks itself when you eat things with barley, wheat and rye. So it causes antibodies then to attack the small intestine, which obviously then leads to long-term sort of health complaints. Currently there's no cure. The only cure is to eat a completely gluten-free diet. And it affects 1 in 100 people in the UK, but only 36% of those have actually been diagnosed. So it still leaves a lot of people undiagnosed in the UK. If you've got family members, so a brother, sister, mother or father, etc., then it's actually down to 1 in 10 chance of getting celiac disease. And you can get celiac disease at any time in your life. So I was 50 when I was diagnosed. People that we've talked to have been like 4 years of age and everything in between. I think the oldest we've spoken to so far was 84.
Yes, there's so many ways that it presents itself in people, isn't there? And as you said, it's managed by this strict gluten-free diets, isn't it? Let's talk about some of the work that you've been putting in over the last year or more now, setting up these little groups to well, I say little, I do it a disservice. You've had quite a number of people that you've positively impacted now, and that's in PAR, isn't it?
Yeah, so we started our PAR group, local meetup group. People just come along, grab themselves a coffee, and then we just have a chat, talk about anything to do with celiac disease or living gluten-free. So we swap recipes, we give recommendations where we can dine out, where we feel safe, and obviously we got some advice and leaflets and things that people can pick up along the way. And so it's been well received. We've probably engaged with around about 90 people since September last year. And we get on average 10 to 28 people every month pop along and performing a nice little community. And I know when I was first diagnosed a little bit over 3 years ago, there was no local support locally, so it was only online or over the phone or whatever. So having someone to talk to in person, it makes it more normalised. So you realise you're not the only person, and that there's somebody at one of these groups that's probably had similar symptoms or similar journey as you. Not all of us have the same journey. Some people don't have any symptoms at all. Some people have a lot of symptoms, and the other people won't have the same ones. So it's always nice to talk to other people and to share experiences. And I'm still learning. I mean, there's people coming along to our meetups that have been celiac for 60 years.
And these meetups as well are so important to provide that support, that place where people can confidently come and ask questions and speak to people. Sometimes there's a waiting list, for example, if you're going to speak to a GP or a dietitian or something like that. Here you can speak to somebody who has that lived experience and who lives locally to you as well, which I think is really important with recommendations and knowing who to speak to and where to go. One other big awareness raiser is Celiac Awareness Month. Now, we had that in May. Of course, last year you were involved in quite a incredible challenge, weren't you? And I think this year you sort of... put your feet up a bit more.
Yes, you did.
I did indeed. So last year I walked 64 miles of the Cornish coastal path, which obviously anyone who's walked the coastal path will know some parts of it is quite challenging. Lots of steps. So this year I decided to rest my feet and actually baked 64 cakes. So 1 in 100 people have celiac disease, but only 36% have actually been diagnosed, which leaves 64%, which is what the relevance with baking 64 cupcakes are.
Now, you've seen a huge, I don't think we could be too modest about this, a huge sort of reaction in the community. Normally when you're talking about reaction and celiac, it's not for a good thing, is it? But you've seen a really positive reaction from the community, and it's actually led you to introduce a second local meetup group. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, both of us are super excited to bring a second meetup group in Cornwall. Obviously, we understand, because we live in Cornwall, that it's a very long county. So someone who lives in Penzance, it's very difficult to get up to St Austell to receive some support. So we're pleased to be able to announce that we're going to be starting a second meetup group in Redruth. The first one's going to be on the 12th of September this year, and it's going to be held at Cornwall Gold near Redruth. And we hope to see lots of people there that obviously live closer. The time we're going to be having the meetup groups on that Saturday is between 2 o'clock in the afternoon and 3:30 p.m. Also, it's free parking, there's accessible toilets, and more the merrier, everyone's welcome.
So park continues, and that returns on the 11th of July.
We've got another one on the 8th of August, and then obviously again then on the 12th of September. Then the 10th of October and the 14th of November. Obviously lots of dates to remember, so you can pop along to coeliac.org.uk and you can find all the details there.
NEWSWAVE.
Right, for 2 days every week, people across St Austell and the surrounding areas come together to eat, socialise and get support from their local Age UK community hub. Now, to continue this vital work and hopefully expand the project in the future, they're seeking donations and new volunteers. Manager of the St Austell Hub, Mandine King, and volunteer Chris East joined Mia Howlett to explain how contributions make a difference, how valuable the hub is to local individuals and their families, and the challenges vulnerable and isolated people are facing right now.
NEWSWAVE.
For a lot of people, where they live in a lot of the tiny villages, they're very isolated, which means they're very lonely. Transport is a big issue. That a lot of these people are unable to get onto buses, so they've got to rely on either families to get them around. That means just transporting them wherever. But loneliness is a big part of it, really. So it's nice for them to get together and to mix with their own peers and to be able to socialise, really.
You touch upon there what the hub does so well. Can you explain the kind of support that the St Austell Community Hub provides and why these services are so important to the people that use them?
The hub is a good place for them to come, to make friends, to make their own family, really. They get provided with a nice meal. There's help provided on all different aspects to help them with things that they need it in the home, or whether they need somebody to do a bit of shopping for them, or just someone to assist and make phone calls regarding their bills that they're not sure of. They can bring any of that into the hub, and there's always someone, or Chris or myself, that can help assist them.
And as a volunteer, Chris, obviously you give your time to the hub. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you do at the hub and why you wanted to give your time to this?
I give my time because I have personal experience of the fact that my wife was here previously, and she was, although she wasn't isolated because obviously I was there, she was on her own, and it was only me that she had. She was limited because she was at later stages. She was in the wheelchair, so obviously that meant difficulty getting around. She liked to go around using the buses, everything else. She was quite independent, and then obviously after that, the illness, she was therefore totally reliant on me or someone else. So she came in here. She enjoyed herself. She made a lot of friends, I think, in a way. And she totally enjoyed herself. But it meant also, from my point of view, and actually probably from other people's point of view, family, even if they have family, it's respite for them, because they know that they've got their relative is in a safe place. They're really looked after. If they have a problem, it can be dealt with.
And it's so lovely that you can give back to your local community, Chris. Obviously, you're seeking support from that community at the moment through donations to continue and expand the work that you're doing at the hub. How will these contributions make a difference now, but also for the future?
Well, it will go to all sorts, to be honest with you. I mean, it would obviously help with the run of the community hub, where people can come. Obviously, we provide a hot meal for all the clients. So any donations would go towards like a hot meal, or we're trying to do a specialist afternoon teas throughout the summer. Something that some of these people that aren't able to get out and about on their own, they can experience having these experiences in the hub. So we do like theme days, and we do different things for them, things that go on outside that they are not able to attend to. So any sort of support goes to helping anybody that's vulnerable, that's totally housebound, that we're able to get them in, because we do have electric vehicle where we can transport people in wheelchairs, although it's quite limited on numbers that we can transport. But any of that would go towards activities that we provide. We have singers that come in. So any donations goes towards that whole package of activities, games, all the different types of things that we do here with the clients whilst they're at the hub.
You've spoken about what the hub can provide. I'm just wondering who might benefit from the hub. You know, there might be people listening that know of people that may be quite isolated or may need that extra support. So who do you support, and how often can people come along?
Right, well, we try to support not only the clients, but also the families or the carers. So if anybody's interested at all, they can actually give me a ring here at the hub, and the number is 01726 76806. I can give them some information over the telephone, but what I usually suggest is that if they're able to come in with somebody or a carer or a family member, come in and have a coffee, have a look around, and we can show them around. They can see the hub and what's going on, and meet some of the volunteers and our lovely clients. And everyone is so welcoming to whoever comes along. You know, we've got like about 22, 24 people that come in on each day. We're here 2 days a week. And then what I can do is take any details, because we obviously need to know health problems, dietary issues, and then I can set them up with a free taster day so they can have a go and see what they think about it.
And looking ahead, obviously, hopefully by securing donations, that will secure the future going forward. And are there any aspirations that you do have for the hub in the future?
We're doing a big fete in September. The fete is going to be in the hub, but we're doing like a lot of fundraising for that.
We've got a summer fete, and that comes along on the 2nd September. It's encouraging everybody to join in, clients and people outside who might be interested in the hub. We're looking at various donations in regarding to a bookstall, cake donation. We've also got a crowdfunder running at the moment as well. And we're also going out and encouraging and talking to other organisations within, specifically around St Austell, how they may be able to support us in a way of donations or raffles or prices for raffles or that type of thing. Just getting everybody in, trying to get everybody involved.
Yeah.
From local businesses to local people that may not even know the hub exists. And obviously after that, also relatives who may have client or potential clients there, that may be lonely and isolated who may actually benefit from coming here.
If people want to find out more and support you going forward, of course, you've said that they can reach out to you at the hub, but are you always looking for volunteers as well to give their time?
We are looking for volunteers, and we are desperate for volunteer drivers, because obviously the more that we're building up the clientele here at the hub, they need transporting. So obviously people that are able to share cars, and in certain areas we do rely on our community transport department, which are based in Truro, and they are volunteer drivers that do that, obviously giving up their time. But again, the numbers are increasing, which means we need more drivers really to come along. And it's just a case of obviously picking up the clients from their homes in the morning, dropping them off at the hub, and then obviously coming back later on in the day to pick them up and take them home. But they're welcome to come in for a coffee, these drivers. That way they can have a lunch, they can join in for the day, they can do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
We're so grateful for having these people on board with us.
And I'm sure a cup of tea and a slice of cake is a good incentive as well, isn't it?
Oh, I think so.
You mentioned there, Mandine, that you're seeing more people that are coming into the hub and needing help and support, whether that's transporting them there or getting involved. Is that something that you've seen across the years, more people needing that sort of support and wanting that support in their local community?
I do think so, actually, because a lot of care homes have closed over the past, well, since COVID really. A lot of the care homes have closed, and a lot of the care homes and residential homes have their own day centres. So because there's very few care homes now, it's also by us running the hub here where people can come in for the day, it's keeping these people at home as long as possible, because they can come in, they're kept warm, they're fed, they're watered, they're entertained, they're made to feel like part of the family, and they're taken back home safely in their own homes until the following time that they actually come along. So yes, I think it's important. We need to build on this and keep going, really, because I think it's the way forward. And the amount of people that come along that aren't sure when they first come along, and then they absolutely love it, and then they want to do every day. And we didn't know you were here, and which is really nice for us.
NEWSWAVE.
And finally this week, indulge me as I take you back in time some 18 months, when Jacob Wilborn, a local man, started a small meditation group from his living room. Since then, it's grown into a thriving community that now meets every Monday at the Quaker Meeting House in St Austell. Jacob joined me to explain how the group began, what meditation has done for his own well-being, and why people of all ages and experience levels are welcome to get involved. I started by asking him how the group first came about.
NEWSWAVE.
So, about 18 months ago, I started up a little meditation group from my lounge, just for friends and people who I knew might be interested. And from there, my lounge quickly became too small, and we expanded, and we found a venue in the Quaker Meeting House in St Austell. We looked at a few different places, but that felt like a really good place. So every Monday night for the past year, I've been running free meditation classes from the Quaker House in St Austell. And it's open to whoever wants to come by, whether that be someone who's never meditated before, to people who are just looking for community, or people who have established practice of meditation. And yeah, I would say it's very experiential. It's not necessarily like I'm teaching. I would hesitate to call myself a meditation teacher, even if I am qualified in things. It feels like I'm there to facilitate and respond to what people get out of it, and kind of encourage that.
Okay. What are some of the benefits and positive impacts that you've felt from this yourself, first of all?
I would say, believe it or not, Tom, I can be quite quick to temper. I can have quite a short fuse, but I rarely give in to that short fuse. I really catch myself noticing that. I really catch myself noticing lots of things. And, being brought up as a male in a certain period of time, I didn't have much vocabulary for my emotions. It's really helped, and I felt very scared of my emotions, in all honesty. It's really given me an opportunity to approach them in a calm and present way that doesn't feel like they're going to overwhelm me all the time. So that's a really good one. And it's not just anger, it's not just sadness, but also happiness. I get this sense now of when I'm happy, I notice it. I'm happy. This is cool. I like this, and I can kind of notice the things that are bringing me joy. And besides from that, I would also say I don't attach so much to stories. If someone crosses me, I don't hang on to that like, oh, they did this to me. It's really like, oh, that happened, and how do I move on? How do I continue to be present and to show up in my life?
Yeah, it's incredibly important. You've now started retracing these steps with people in the community who are maybe starting out for the first time, starting that journey like you did, like you said, perhaps some more experienced meditators as well. What have you learned from the group, from the people that you're working with, and tell us about the community that you're involved in now as well?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I did turn up with this mindset of like, I'm going to be a meditation teacher and I'm going to teach all the elements, because in all honesty, I'm a practicing Buddhist, but I don't expect everybody else to understand the philosophy and the terms. So I just try to bring my own experience to a group of people who I think it might benefit. And turning up with that expectation of, I'm going to teach, and actually finding that was quite closed. I needed a far more open and dynamic approach to be able to encapsulate everybody's experience so that they could really connect to it and really have a meaningful experience. Over the past year, we've built a really lovely community, I have to say. It's
What's the makeup of the group? Is it, for example, male only, female only? What does it look like? Is there an age limit, an age, can people only start at 16, for example? What are the T's and C's, I suppose, if you like?
Yeah, that's a really fun question, because I've actually encouraged people to bring their kids, and just to see how they might show up, see what they might get out of it. And I spent a lot of my life working with people outside of the meditation group, people with learning difficulties, people with mental health crisis. So I tried to be open and receptive to whatever's needed in that moment. But so far, the group is a mixed age, mixed gender, mixed experience. And because it's free, there's not very much pressure. I just say donation only. Just donations cover the cost of the building, and that's it. And I provide the tea. And so we've had lots of people come through. Some people come and they're in real crisis, and it might just be enough stillness that they get from that one session that they can go away and continue to think about life. And then we have people who have come every week religiously, who started out having no meditation experience whatsoever, and what they found is it's wonderful to be in community, and it's really quite profound to be in a community that are able to just sit and be, and quite often, like I said, in silence together as well.
If people listening are interested to maybe find out more information, maybe they've got concerns or anxieties and want to contact you beforehand, perhaps, or they want to just arrive to one of these sessions, just turn up and try it out, where can they find out more information? Where do they need to go? How can they connect?
Well, interestingly, there isn't much information to be said. It really is just 7:00 Monday nights at the Quaker House in St Austell. I don't do social media. That's one way I really preserve my mental health.
That's good advice.
Yeah, and I allow I've used posters in the past, and word of mouth seems to be the best ways to get around it. And like I said, just keep going out there and trying to make a positive impact in the world. Yeah, hour and a half of no phone for some people was just enough. I've seen that time and time again in so many different places in my life. The just not being at the beck and call. And one of the interesting things that has evolved from this as well. I never set out to make this my job. I did do this because I'm doing it anyway, and if it can be a benefit to other people, then brilliant. And I'll do it with other people. That's what I really hope to get out of it. And what started to happen is people have caught on to it and go, "Oh, could you do that over here? Because that might be a benefit to these people." So it has kind of started to feed into my professional career as well, and working with myriad people and trying to bring in different elements. So actually, our session this week is on the beach. It's a beautiful summer's day. We'll go to the beach.
Why not?
And we'll share practice there. And that, for most people, going to the beach is a pleasant thing anyway. And then if we just bring in some of those elephants.
Don't bring in any elephants.
Yeah, meditation elephants. Bring in some of those elements of mindfulness. Suddenly, perhaps people can have a different experience of what it is to be in a place that's already so comforting.
Absolutely fantastic. Is there anything else you wanted to add that you think is important, or anything we might have missed at all?
Well, yeah, just to reply to what you said, nature is free. We think, if I want to be spiritual, I have to go to a church or something. But the Buddha never went to a church. He sat under a tree. Jesus didn't go to the temple. He went into the desert. This is time and time again in all traditions. People go to nature. It's all there. And also, in a 2026 world, we have apps. There are some fantastic apps out there. There's Insight Timer. I really can't recommend that enough. There's Plum Village. There's some really good meditation apps. And Headspace. They're really good ways to just dip your toes in. And if you think, I'd like to do this, and I'd like to do this with people, then seek out a meditation group.
Yeah.
Whether it's the one I run or another one in your local area. I really think there's a lot to be gained from it.
Just to conclude, thank you also for your time this afternoon here on Chaos. Just to conclude, those sessions again take place where, when and what time?
7 p.m. on a Monday night at the Quaker Meeting House in St Austell. There's a group of us. If you turn up for 7, we usually run for an hour and a half, 7 to 8:30. We have a cup of tea at the end, sometimes a snack.
NEWSWAVE.
Of course, we couldn't let Jacob go without giving us a bit of an insight into some of those meditative tactics that he employs. Take it away, Jacob.
NEWSWAVE.
So I'm not going to ask you to close your eyes, because you might be in a very busy situation right now. All I'm going to ask of you is to just start to notice your breath. Whilst you're doing whatever you're doing, start to notice your breath. And usually, within noticing our breath, it starts to become deeper, perhaps even slower. But there's no need to change it. There's no need to change anything. Just noticing the breath is the first step. We bring our attention to the breath, and it starts to open up our frame of awareness slightly. And that's really at the crux of meditation. Just bringing a bit more awareness to our life. So what I talk about is using your breath as an anchor. If it's short, it's short. If it's long, it's long. And it can also act as a mirror. If it's short, it might remind us to go slightly deeper. If it's long, we might already be in a place where we feel calmer. The second anchor I want you to look at is to feel yourself connected to the earth. Now, maybe that's your feet on the ground, bringing some awareness that underneath you are standing on a living and vibrant earth that is strong and stable, that's always been there. Maybe it's noticing yourself sat on a chair, how the chair supports you, and that this chair has perhaps previously been a tree, has been fabric, but in this moment it's here supporting you to just take a moment to sit down. So you can use these twin anchors at any given point of your life. Connection to the earth, connection to your breath. They've always been there. They'll always be there as long as we're alive. If we bring attention to them, suddenly we become part of something infinitely larger than just us. And that can help us to open our field of awareness. And you can do this with your eyes open, with your eyes closed. And like I said, there's no need to change anything. Just noticing where you're at, noticing what comes up. And the key is to not attach too much. It's as if the thoughts were clouds in a sky moving with the winds of change. And if they're particularly sticky, perhaps you can imagine yourself taking a fort and just placing it like a twig in a river and watching it sail away. And always knowing that the breath and the earth beneath you is there to support you.
NEWSWAVE.
Okay, that's all we've got time for on this week's edition of NEWSWAVE. A big Chaos Radio thank you to George Elworthy from Cornwall Hospice, to author of All Around Morocco, Paula Rooney, to Sue Allen from the Butterfly Conservation's Cornish branch, to Jason and Gwen Bradby of Coeliac UK, to Mandine King and Chris East from Age UK's St Austell Community Hub, and to Jacob Wilborn of that burgeoning meditation group at St Austell's Quaker House. And as ever, a final thank you to you for listening and helping support local journalism to thrive. To catch up on all our coverage, as well as to check out our extensive back catalogue of interviews and shows, head on over to chaos.radio. And remember, if you have a local news story that you'd like to share with us, email news@chaos.radio or search Chaos Radio UK across socials. NEWSWAVE has been produced and presented by me, Tom Howe, and is a Chaos Radio production for the Cornwall Community Media Network.
NEWSWAVE.
Chaos.radio. Music, podcasts, entertainment.